Hi guys, I haven't been here for a short while, probably about 3 weeks. I thought I would come back and do a quick video because I thought it might be relevant to some of you. I've been having a bit of a hard time with my health anxiety in the past week, so I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see how I'm dealing with it, considering the fact that I consider myself a recovered health anxiety sufferer. So I laid down to go to sleep, and every time that I started to drift off, I was sent into panic, like an adrenaline rush, and it it sort of shook me awake again, and I started to panic, and then I tried to get off to sleep again, and I'd get like an adrenaline rush again, and it would provoke me, and it would wake me back up, and this process kept on going on and on and on. And this was going on for hours, gone 2 o'clock, it was still going on. So when these sort of things happen, it's quite difficult, especially at night when you're tired. It's difficult to be able to tell what's actually happening and pinpointing what's going on. And I have a lot of trouble when it's late at night being able to separate fact from fiction. I can't tell if my health anxiety is playing tricks on me or if something's actually happening. So what I started with is what I usually start with, seeing whether or not I've been prone to anxiety in general lately. So I look back over the last few days, and probably about 3 days ago I did have anxiety, again when I was trying to go to sleep. It was about something different, but I didn't get to sleep until about 4 o'clock in the morning as a result of it. So I know that I did have anxiety a few days ago. So then I looked at the more general idea of whether or not I might have been suffering from anxiety, just generally speaking, lately, because when I have heightened anxiety of any kind, it usually manifests as health anxiety. So probably I would say about 5 days ago, I started to suffer from stress and anxiety. And that wasn't about health as such, it was just generalized anxiety. And that was because my dad was about to go away for 10 days to stay in Ireland for a holiday with his partner. And when people go away, that's when I tend to feel a bit vulnerable. And I think that's the case for a lot of people that suffer from health anxiety. So I do have a close relationship with my dad, although I do only see him probably once a week. So that would only mean missing him once. One time less than I would normally see him with him going away. But it's not so much the fact that I'm going to miss that one time that he goes away. It's the fact that I make associations. It tends to trigger thoughts of me looking back to when I felt like I'm alone in the past with health anxiety. And that was back in the beginning, about 10 years ago. And I didn't know what was going on with my health anxiety, because at that point I didn't know it was health anxiety. So my family didn't understand either, because I didn't know what it was to be able to explain it to them. So I was living in a flat by myself, and I was struggling financially because I'd been signed off work because of my health anxiety and bereavement from losing my mum. And as a result of that, I was stuck in a situation where I was in a really terrible house, living on my own. And at the time, I believe I still had my mum's ashes in my bedroom because we hadn't scattered them at that point. And I went through a period where I had no internet connection, I had no credit on my phone, and I had no landline. And up until a certain point, I used to just deal with my anxiety about my health by phoning NHS Direct. So without any kind of communication with the outside world, I was stuck almost in isolation, just panicking by myself. So my dad going away, I know, triggered those memories. So that that already made me in a position where I was likely to experience health anxiety. So then the next thing that I do, I already know that, I had heightened anxiety at the time. So as a result, I would have heightened health anxiety. So then I look at the sensations that I experienced last night when I was in bed. And I look back and I think, well, have I experienced anything like that before? And the answer is yes. Coincidentally, the first time that I experienced it was probably 10 years ago, so probably about 3-4 months into developing health anxiety. And I went to the doctors and spoke to them about it. I had EEGs, ECGs, and everything. Had my heart checked and everything was normal. And I was having ectopic beats as well at the same time. And at the time, it was put down to the fact that I was suffering from silent reflux. And everything else was checked over and was fine. So I was put on medication for silent reflux. So that was 10 years ago. So I have had that experience before, and I'd be lying if I was to say that was the only other time I'd experienced it. The fact is, I've had that experience at night many times. It's a regular occurrence for me. The problem was last night when it came on, and I had this sensation. I was already primed to freak out because I was feeling vulnerable where my dad was away, and I've had other things on my mind as well because I've been struggling with my business, so I've been worried quite a lot, and that was going to manifest as health anxiety. And those things coming together at the same time sent me into a negative thought pattern. So the fact that I couldn't sleep, I started, what we tend to do with health anxiety is we tend to try to collect together all of the different symptoms, if you want to call them that, or sensations that we're experiencing or have experienced over a period of time, and we try to put them all together and then connect the dots to see the common theme. So I was lying in bed last night and my brain was connecting the dots and saying, okay, like this has got to be either X, Y, or Z. So I was thinking, right, okay, so this could be because of a brain tumour, this could be because I'm having a heart attack, or because I'm about to have a stroke. And it was going all through, could I have MS? And it was getting out of control. And the thoughts were just getting overwhelming. So I didn't have a panic attack last night, and I didn't have a panic attack this morning. I did think it through rationally last night, and I thought, well, okay then, what am I going to do about this? I've got to decide whether or not I need to intervene and with myself and go and see a doctor. Because if I genuinely do believe that I could have something like a heart condition, then it's something that I need to take seriously. So I got up in the morning, and this is something that happens to me quite frequently. I couldn't actually remember what the problem was that I was panicking over. And this is something that I've noticed many times with this same sensation that I experience, that I can never quite pinpoint what it is that I'm reacting to. I don't know whether it's a digestive thing that I'm reacting to, or like acid reflux. I don't know whether it's because I'm afraid of the process of going to sleep, that bit where you go from awake to not awake, that process in between where you start to slip into sleep tends to provoke fear, because my brain tells me that I'm dying. I didn't know whether it was because I was overtired. I didn't know whether it was because I wasn't tired enough. I do occasionally, rarely, suffer from sleep paralysis, which is where your mind and your body go to sleep at different rates or wake up at different rates, so that your mind can wake up before your body, so you essentially feel like you're trapped inside a paralysed body. And I know that I do associate this sensation that I had last night, repeated sensation I had last night, with slipping into sleep paralysis, which is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So I didn't know whether it was just the fact that I was waking myself up because I was afraid, or whether something was waking me up, like a breathing problem. So come morning, I was doing what I usually do, which is looking back and saying, well, you know, if it was something that was a serious issue, I would at least be able to identify what that experience felt like come morning and exactly where that problem was coming from. But I was unable to do that. So this is where I usually start to ask myself the question of whether or not it's a greater risk to go to the doctor or to not go to the doctor. So I'm stuck in the middle of not knowing whether I should go to be responsible, or whether I shouldn't go because it could provoke my health anxiety more. So what did I do about it? I got up and I had a shower, and I didn't call anyone. I didn't have a panic attack. I just bit my tongue, carried on, and that's the reality of recovery. It's hard, it's unpleasant, it's traumatic, it's stressful, but it's the only option really for me. Looking at it rationally, there's too much evidence that suggests that it could very well just be my health anxiety flaring up because I'm vulnerable. It's Thursday today, so my usual protocol with dealing with these things is I shall reassess the situation on Monday, because if it's an actual medical problem, it won't go away just because I'm feeling better. It will still be there. So if it just disappears when I'm not thinking about it, and I have a couple of good nights sleep, and then it only comes back when I start feeling health anxiety again, or stress, then it's not medical, is it? It's psychological. So this is the hard and complicated way that I have to deal with my health anxiety in order to maintain having no panic attacks. So I don't know if this would be any use to anyone or any help to anyone, but I wanted to show the processes involved with maintaining my health anxiety recovery. So if anybody else can relate to this, share your experiences. It'd be interesting just to see what other people are going through, and be open about it. It's a disorder, it's not your fault. Okay, so until next time, hopefully when I'm feeling much better, take it easy, and I shall see you soon. Bye bye.